down, not around when you're needing them. Only here to take like a child, got you feeding them. Better off leaving them like salt, that's the seasoning. Killing black people, that sugar really depleting them. Knowledge over ignorance, rising above predicaments. Fighting for equality, speaking for all the innocents. These drugs they been giving us, turning our people vigilant. Innocent dissidents, violence is coming imminent. Gotta fall a couple times to learn the lessons faster. Thinking will it matter if I skip a couple chapters? This life that I'm after got me climbing up the ladder. Won't be another rapper, bankrupt with the chapter. On another mission to get rich, it's big chips. And past the crown on solid ground, the kid spits. On another level, these devils can't block the business. The kid get psycho with a rifle, get your wig split. Change the game passively in the back, so happily. Jersey and welcome to another edition of the Community Soldier podcast, hosted by me, Justin Counts. Man, it's been a challenging week. I know a lot of people been going through a lot of different struggles and different things. I know myself, I definitely have. You know, I'm just like everybody else, right? Excuse me, all these levels is loud. I'm just like everybody else. I go through things, and it's been one heck of a year so far. I tell you that. But you know me, we just push on. We keep it moving, and we do what we do, right? So that's what I'm doing today. So bear with me if I ain't all the way together, but I think we're still gonna have a great episode tonight, guys. I'm gonna start off with just some local news before we really get into the segment tonight. I want to first talk about the weather. I know it sounds crazy. I want to talk about the weather. Yes, I want to talk about the weather. You know, we all see how it is outside, but we got this Arctic air moving in. It's gonna get colder and colder, and you already know every time it get cold, every time it snow, we get ice conditions, and we get people driving like they don't understand that this is Michigan. So just be careful because the road conditions is going to be kind of bad these next couple days. We already know how people get to driving when they're trying to get to work. But just be mindful. Um, take that extra time these next couple days while you're traveling because it's really not worth your life to lose your life trying to rush to get somewhere. But speaking of that cold, I want to definitely make sure to remind folks that with this cold, it's not worth it to be trying to stay outside. Even if you're sleeping in your car, you need to go get some help. We have emergency shelters, we have warming shelters, we have warming centers, I'm sorry. They're available. There's a couple warming centers that I know that are open. All you have to do is go on 211 and look up those resources. But they also post it in places like your local community action agency or your DHS office. We can also post some links to your local warming centers on the Community Soldier Podcast Facebook page. And if you in a situation right now where you living in your car or you staying in somewhere like where there's no heat, man, reach out. There's programs that'll help you. I even found out like I went through a personal issue where my furnace went out, and there's programs that'll help you replace your furnace if you're a homeowner. So you got to reach out to your local community action agency. If you're a person sleeping in your car right now, you can't sleep in your car. It's going to be too cold. These next couple days, I'm talking about it's going to get cold, cold. It's already been cold, too cold for you to be sleeping in the car or outside. So if you're in that situation, reach out to Community Action Agency, find out what resources is available to you. If you're a veteran, you definitely don't need to be outside. All veterans, all you have to do is reach out to Community Action Agency, and we can help get you off the street because it's way too cold for you to be out. But if you do find yourself in that situation, we do have a couple warming centers that you can go to and get out of the cold. And there's also the T.A. Wilson shelter, which we'll talk about later. Now, I also want to talk about something that came up just recently too. We had the Surgeon General now is saying that we're going to have to put labels on alcohol because they're making a connection with alcohol and cancer, right? So this link between alcohol and cancer, recent research has shown that like even a moderate alcohol consumption can increase your risk for developing certain types of cancers. And I'm talking like cancers like breast cancer, liver cancer, and even colon cancer, which is something that our people, especially a lot of African American black men, have been passing away from, is the colon cancer. And it's not just heavy drinkers either. Like it's even regular to moderate drinkers can also be at high risk. So in today's episode, like I really want to just raise some awareness about this and try to give you a couple tools like so that we can make better informed decisions. Like it's a fact that cutting back on alcohol is like one of the easiest ways to lower your cancer risk. And studies have shown like you don't even have to quit completely to see the benefits. Like just reducing your intake can help. Just reducing your intake can help. And I say that to say like there's a lot of people uh, that are being affected by this, right? And it's because we were never given this information. You know, we were never told these things for years. You know, for years I watched my grandmothers and my grandfather smoke cigarettes. You know, I grew up in an era where they used to sell them in the little vending machines. You could buy cigarettes in the vending machine back then. You could smoke in restaurants back then. And that was the thing that most people did. It was acceptable until we started to realize things and we started to understand. Hello, Miss Diane. Welcome to the Community Soldier broadcast. I think you'll like our segment today. I think you'll like our segment today. Yes, yes, you will. We're going to introduce the Community Soldier podcast world to Miss Diane Washington today. So, for my people that are have been thinking about how they could cut back or stop drinking completely, the the way you start is to reach out to your local resources. I mean, you could start by even talking to your local doctor. If you don't feel comfortable talking to your doctor, we have, I mean, we have a lot of agencies, a lot of different organizations. Um, For instance, we have one right here downtown, easy access. All you have to do is reach out, and they have resources available. They have resources available right here in Jackson. I'm gonna post a couple on our Facebook website just so that if you need some and you can't find some, you'll be able to at least find some on our webpage. If you look on our Facebook page at Community Soldier Podcast, we'll make sure we post some. But just realize that if we start to make healthier choices, we can start to avoid some of these things. It's a reason why a lot of our people are starting to catch these cancers. And it's a lot of times because of our lifestyle choices. But it's because of the fact that they didn't even give us this information, right? Until recently. So as we find out, that's how we learn. And sadly, a lot of us have to learn the hard way. Sadly, a lot of us have to learn the hard way. But I watched it in the early 80s and 90s with the HIV and AIDS epidemic that ravaged our community, ravaged our community. I saw how many people it destroyed. And it was all because of life choices. But we didn't have all the information at that time. Now that we do have that information, you can see that our communities are still being ravished, but they're not being ravished in that way to the extent that it was doing before. Because as we learn, we grow. So if you need some resources, I know one for sure place you can go to is downtown. It's the Home and New Vision, right downtown. They got resources for substance abuse. They have meetings. Plus, they have resources for treatment facilities if you need that. But the point is, just reach out if you need that help. Talk to somebody, even if it's your pastor, your best friend, whoever it is that's going to help you and help you make healthier decisions to extend your life. You got to talk to that person because it's going to be worth it in the end because the goal is to be here, right? So I'm gonna transition to the last little bit of news. This really not local news, but I see a lot of people are like upset about it. So I just want to talk about it. The TikTok ban, this was a crazy landmark decision, crazy controversial. A lot of us know that there's a big debate about it recently, whether or not the government should even ban it due to concerns over national security. But the Supreme Court is currently hearing arguments that could lead to a ban, and we're all watching it closely to see what happens next, right? But let me just tell you this real quick before we even get into that. Just know that even if it does become banned, they can't take it off your phone. Once it's on your phone, it's going to be on your phone. So they can't just shut down the app completely. I think what the plan is going to be like, they're going to just gradually not update the app. And then it's just going to not work on your phone eventually. So it's not just going to be a complete cut and dry, right? Because I know a lot of people have been worried about that, whether it's because that's their favorite platform to get information. They feel like, especially a lot of the young people feel like that's the only platform where they're not censoring their voice. And regardless of how you feel about the information that's presented on a platform, people still love and they still enjoy it. And it's going to be hard for a lot of people to give it up. Like, I hear a lot of people talk about this, and I get it because in today's world where they censor so much of our voices, they censor so much of our education, they censor so much of our even our ability to search on the internet, right, and find accurate information or information that we're looking for. So that develops an extreme distrust, right? And that's what the young people have, an extreme distrust for the information that's being presented to them. And I understand. It's because for years we have a government who has told us one thing and we find out later that it's different. For years we find out that the government is censoring our voices, choosing what they want to tell us, creating things like propaganda to get us to believe what they want us to believe. And finally, these young kids found a platform where their voice was totally free. They were able to spread their videos out, and there was no, their algorithm was different. So your video was able to reach millions of people immediately. There was no blocking your videos from being shown like other platforms do. You know, I'm not going to mention any names because I stream on those platforms. But other platforms, they block your videos so that only certain people can see your videos, right? Until you get to a certain level, and then they'll show it to more people, right? But on TikTok, they don't do that. They show your video immediately to everybody that's on that platform. So the young kids are going to be really upset when the platform leaves. But the thing that most people really don't understand is like why do they even care, right? Why do they even care about this app, TikTok, and why it's on your phone, right? It has to be something that differentiates it and other apps. Because if you look at Pokemon Go, Pokemon Go is an app that was downloaded by millions of Americans where people play a game on their phone and they have to give the game, the app, permission to use their camera, their location, their GPS inside of their phone, and their local memory. So the creators of Pokemon Go were able to map the entire United States with one game that was downloaded by millions and millions of Americans. They were able to map every street across our United States because they had millions of users give their permission for their phone's location. What do you think they do with that information? What do you think they do with that information and your camera access? So TikTok, same deal. TikTok has access to your camera and your microphone. So time, at any time, if they wanted to, they could listen to anything being said from any phone that has that app programmed on it. And I know we might think like that's harmless. That's harmless. But what if you're a government official and you sit inside of meetings in the White House and China has access to the microphone on your phone? That's where it gets dangerous. That's where it gets dangerous. And they've had access to all of our phones, cameras, microphones. So, like, a lot of people don't understand what that means. When you give an app permission to use your camera or your microphone, if you pay attention and read the whole terms, if they wanted to, if they were going to be bad actors and they wanted to, they can open up your camera anytime they want, even when you're not using it, even when your phone's laying on your desk like mine is. They can open up your camera and access it and see whatever the background is and hear whatever is being said. This is the same technology that our devices use. I mean, every day. They listen to us already 24/7. So you putting that permission in the wrong people's hands, this can be a security threat for our nation. And that's the reason why they after this app so hard. I know a lot of people don't understand that. And a lot of people don't care. But the reality is, what they're mad about is that this Chinese company has managed to create an app that is more popular than any app that we've created. And they don't censor it. And their version of TikTok looks different. Their version of TikTok doesn't show the negative things that our version of TikTok shows. So there's no disinformation videos because they don't have the right of free speech, for one. And two, their government controls everything that's pushed to them anyway. So all of their TikTok videos are positive. They're like self-help videos. They're like motivational videos, and not too much of the dancing and the other stuff that you see on our version of TikTok. When it all boils down to, you start to realize that they're just doing something that they've witnessed the people who control our country have been doing to our people for hundreds of years. And that's make money and push negative cultures, negative images, negative realities to our children to get them focused on nonsense instead of creating the next scientist, creating the next Nobel Peace Prize winners, right? They want to keep our kids focused on the things that they focus on now. That's the biggest thing that we need to be upset about and we need to fight on. But those are the things that a lot of people won't talk about. And it's because these are uncomfortable conversations. But that's neither here nor there because whether we feel that TikTok in itself is a good app or not, what it all boils down to is that the government cannot control it. That's what it boils down to. And how I feel about that is I do feel we need a platform where we can speak freely. I do feel that we need that. But at the same time, we know what's going to happen when we allow people to speak freely. But it needs to be had because this is a part of our constitutional rights is to speak freely. But in no way do I feel the government should be the ones policing any platform, what's being said on any platform. I saw a Joe Rogan episode where even Mark Zuckerberg admitted that during the COVID times, the government forced them to take down things that they knew was true. Take down things that they knew was true. Things that people were saying. People were telling the truth and they were taking it down for narratives because they didn't fit certain narratives. And how many times have you seen or yourself, right? I've been flagged on Facebook for saying like something that was said on a movie, like a basic line from off of a movie, and you'll get flagged on Facebook, and they want to shut down your account, you know, tear your page all up for just saying basic things. And then you scroll on the Facebook, and here you see somebody half naked. They allow that. You see people naked, and sometimes they even allow that. You see people um, expiring in life, and people not even here on this earth. You see those pictures on Facebook, but they want to shut your page down because you speak something that the censors doesn't like, or the fact check. They spoke about the fact checkers. The fact checkers were controlled by the government, controlled by the government. So they were telling us what was facts, what was not facts. So that's the thing that's going to hurt the most about losing TikTok is we need a platform like that. We need a platform like that so that people can express how they feel freely, so that they can share the knowledge and information in that type of fashion. I mean, they cracked the code on how to quickly share information in a quick video that's only a minute and a half because they understood our kids today, they have a short attention span. Most people, even. Like, even me myself, I starting to realize like you have a lot of ADHD tendencies, buddy, a lot. I realize that about myself now, and I see it in other people, right? Even in the music that's coming out today, right? I used to be a rapper, so I listen to the new music now, and it used to be structured song formats back in the day where it used to be the hook, the verse, the hook again, the verse, the hook again, and another verse, and then the hook again, the chorus. And I remember songs in the 80s and in the 70s and even in early as the 60s and 70s. Songs were 10 and 15-minute long. I mean, you had long records. 15-minute long records was common back in the day. Nowadays, a kid will never listen to a 15-minute record. Most of the songs that are hits today are about 2 minutes. 3 minutes is like extremely pushing it today. And that's what TikTok understood. Most kids are only going to pay attention for a few seconds, right? Most people are only going to pay attention for a few seconds. Even with this video, most people are going to scroll and see this video and they might tune in for a couple seconds, like 17 seconds is usually the algorithm, and then they keep it pushing. So people have a very short attention span nowadays. So if you don't capture their imagination, if you don't capture their interest really quick, and then have something interesting enough to hold their interest, you're gonna lose them really fast. And TikTok is a platform that understood that, so that's why they send you endless amounts of videos that you like, because the algorithm, the one thing that it was interesting about TikTok, once it learned you. So what I mean by that is, if it knew that you would only like cute cat videos, it's gonna make sure that it floods you with cute cat videos. Like, that's all you're gonna see. So if you search the book of Enoch and or scriptures like Isaiah, and you like to watch breakdown videos of scriptures, that's all you're gonna see on TikTok. That's like the majority of what you'll see, and that's what people liked about it. There was no ads, just interruptions, pressure from outside sources all the time for you to buy. And people were allowed to speak their mind and speak freely and not suffer that censorship of a company or the government telling them that they can't do or say something. So that's the big deal about the whole TikTok thing, man. We're gonna take a break, check out this video from our sponsors. This episode of the Community Soldier Podcast is proudly sponsored by the Dungy Tree Heritage Foundation, a cornerstone of hope and empowerment in our community. Operating from two strategic locations in Ward 1 and Ward 2, the Dungy Tree Heritage Foundation is on a mission to tackle poverty, uplift individuals, and create lasting opportunities for families right here in Jackson, Michigan. The Dungeon Foundation is there for those who need it most. They even offer housing resources and eviction mediation to help keep families stable and secure. All right, guys. On to our community spotlight today. On our community spotlight today, I want to spread some light on an incredible organization here in Jackson. And this is an organization that I myself work with very closely. And it's because I love the mission. I love what they're doing, right? This organization is called Young People of Purpose, aka YPOP. For those that don't know, YPOP is all about empowering our youth and giving them the tools that they need to succeed. This is one reason that I like them. And it's all founded by Miss Diane Washington. If you guys don't know Miss Diane, you need to look her up. She has an amazing program. See, they're all about empowering youth and giving them the tools they need to succeed through mentorship, education, community involvement. They're helping young people build leadership skills and find their purpose. One of the incredible things about YPOP is their diverse range of programs, right? This is what's most important. See, I talk about kids and their interests and how fast we as a people can lose interest in things. One of the things that's most incredible about YPOP is they have a diverse range of programs from gardening to pottery to candle making, teaching children the ABCs, art, business, culture, and diversity, and even service. Because what's most important is giving back. See, I've seen firsthand what the impact of having programs like YPOP. I've seen firsthand the results of children that who've gone through programs like YPOP. It makes a difference, and it's going to continue to make a difference with the community support. See, one thing that I like about Miss Diane is that she is such a well of information. She reminds me of like almost like a computer in a way. No matter what type of idea I think of, in some form or fashion, she's already done it. The tools that she has already that can start businesses and run businesses. I mean, from pottery to beekeeping to, like I said before, candle making. All of those supplies she already has. She already does those things. Been doing those things for years and years and years. Gardening, baking, taking the resources that you've either grown from the earth and using them and teaching the children how to not only grow these things but how to take what they grow and and use that to create income for themselves. This is the teaching how to fish part, right? That's my favorite part. This is why um, I work so closely with them because it falls so closely in line with the mission that I have in my personal life, which is to teach people how to hustle for a living, right? These are the same principles. And right here in our community, we have a woman who's been experienced many years of being a business owner, an entrepreneur, right? In many different industries. And she freely gives back to her children year in and year out. And it saddens me a lot of times that a lot of people don't know about her program, YPOP, Young People of Purpose. It saddens me that people don't know that she has a garden right here on Maple Street, right? This garden, every year, kids learn how to grow vegetables. They learn how to give back to the community because they give them away to the elderly and to the community during their market days. They have resource events. where they collaborate and they honor our veterans. She's taking children to Africa. She's taking children to Africa, introducing them to culture, right? Because we know how important that is, right? Introducing the children to culture, places that we couldn't even dream of going. I couldn't dream of going to Africa as a teenager, right? And here we have a woman right here in Jackson, Michigan, with the program who is really taking the time to invest in our youth, right? Taking that time to fully invest in teaching our children survival skills. These are real survival skills that our great grandparents had that we lost. I mean, we totally lost our traditional skill sets, and that was due to the destruction that was plagued on our families, right? With systemic oppressions, right? That cut off our families from this knowledge and this resources, right? Because how did we let the government trick us into thinking that we had to buy and pay for vegetables when you can grow vegetables for practically nothing, like for free? You can literally grow vegetables for free. In a lot of cases, you could literally take a tomato, a potato that somebody gave you, and you can plant and make multiple potatoes. Like we allowed the government to trick us into thinking that we had to buy vegetables when we can grow them for free, right? So that's why I like programs like YPOP, because our kids need to learn how to grow basic necessities that they need to survive. How many people know how to can the things that they grow? They have programs there where they teach children how to can. I know that's one of the classes that I need to sit down myself, because I eventually want to learn how to can my vegetables that I grow. But even it's the skill set of teaching children how to grow something is valuable. The new market, the new fad for the past 5 years was the microgreens. I've seen videos of young men now with microgreen gardens in their basements using LED lighting systems that they build out of traditional wire racks. And they're growing microgreens and they're supplying their local restaurants. They're supplying even sometimes their local schools. So think about how major that is for a young person, right? In today's economy, right? We have a, a tendency to want to push our kids out, right? Instead of us teaching our children really and getting them prepared really for the world, our kids, even they themselves, they want to leave so fast, right? I think we have to get to a society where we allow our kids and we allow our young children that period of learning, that period of saving, that period of building their businesses, that period of, starting themselves, right? And so imagine what it's like for that kid that can start a business like growing microgreens in his parents' basement where they don't have to pay rent. They can save all of the money that they earn, maybe buy their own car, pay their car off, you know. You get a couple contracts like your local restaurant, your local school. With that type of industry, they need you all the time. And with that microgreens, you can grow them in your house all year long. So now this is an income that you create for yourself that can eventually turn into a major business. And that's what hustle for a living is about. And those are the principles that Miss Diane is teaching children over there at YPOP. See, I see all the time people commenting, man, there's no programs out here for the kids. There's nothing for the kids to do. They done took away everything. But here's a program right here in Jackson, Michigan that we need to start ciphering our children to. I mean, they have summer programs, they have summer camps. I even saw that they were giving youth summer jobs. So they have resources for kids, helping in the garden, growing in the garden, plus a lot of other programs, which I'm gonna have Miss Diane come on the show one of these days, and I'm gonna have her talk about it. Look at my cuz John. He said I can show you how to grow food. Yeah, I know he still got the skills. Yeah, a lot of young people don't know. It's really better, really, for you to grow your own food. That's what I'm learning myself. And I remember growing up, like my grandfather, Roscoe Counts the second, Big Scope Jones. Yes, he used to grow his own vegetables, his own fruit in his backyard. He never, he very rarely bought anything out of a grocery store. And I know he learned that from his granddaddy, his great granddaddy before them, because we descend directly from slavery. Like I could track my great grandfather to the slave masters whose name we're named after. That's how far I've been able to track my last name. So I know that this is a skill set that has been in my family for generations and generations and generations and generations. But due to migrations, right? My grandfather, my great grandfather, somewhere in that lineage, they moved up north from South Carolina to New Jersey, and that's my where my life started, was in New Jersey. But I was fortunate to have my grandfather still, so that I could to see and remember how he always ate off of his own land. Only thing that he ever bought out of the grocery stores was meat and stuff. That was the only thing he ever bought, was meat and stuff. But tell me what y'all think, man. I really want to know what's stopping you from, one, learning how to grow your own vegetables or fruits or whatever it is. And if you could grow your own fruits or vegetables, I want to know, what would you grow? What would you grow? Tell us on our Facebook page, on our YouTube page, in the comments. I'm really curious to know, like, if there's any barriers that are stopping you from learning, or what needs to happen for you to get connected to organizations like YPOP. Like, what do you need to happen for you to get involved? Because I know that there's barriers that stop people from participating in summer programs or some of the events that are thrown. So if there are barriers that are stopping you from participating in some of the summer programs, let us know what those are. That way we can brainstorm, come up with different ways to try to remove some of those barriers. But I really want the people to know that there is a local program here that cares about our children and that is actually uh, creating programs and taking the time to worry about the future, right? Because the reason why we haven't had anything all of these years, right, where you see where the progress has kind of slowed down and even reversed, and we're starting to go back in a lot of ways because there's been this disconnect of resources and information. See, in the 50s and the 60s and even the 70s, we had strong families in the inner city communities coming up. And especially us black people, we were starting to thrive. And it was because we had good, solid family structures. We had resources and knowledge that was being passed down from generation to generation. My great granddaddy was a carpenter, and he taught me how to be a carpenter. He taught his son, and he taught his grandson, and now we have 5 generations of carpenters in the family. Now, when you look in our families now, you see this gap. This there's a huge gap between who has the knowledge, and it's sad because now you look at even our local mechanics, right? You look at your local mechanic that fixes your car. 9 times out of 10 is a elderly guy, right? Not too many young brothers is out here wrenching on cars, and it seems like there's a knowledge gap, and it's because our our fathers are gone. We've been ravaged by the system, destroyed by epidemics of drugs and such and such, choices, decisions, school to prison pipelines, whatever the case may be. Health, how health, even how we eat, you know, what they feed us. All these different factors, right? Destroying the dads, taking us away from the homes. Now we have men who don't know trades, right? Can't fix things. Anytime anything breaks in my house, I have to panic. I have to get on YouTube. Like, oh my God, World War III, because I don't know how to fix nothing, right? When there used to be a time where all we had was all we had. I remember when things used to break back in the day, the first thing you did was try to fix it. That was the things that I learned from my dad, my grandfather. You never threw away anything because you never knew what you might need, right? You never knew what you might need because you never knew what you might needed to fix. But the thing that I remember from watching those men was no matter what, they had the ability to overcome whatever challenge that they faced. And that's the thing that our young people are missing. We can't just stop teaching at reading and writing and math. We also have to give them the ability and the tools to solve problems. What better way to teach kids is with financial literacy through art, business, culture. Those are cornerstones of what proper life is going to be all about. So just know that we got an organization right here in Jackson that's helping educate our kids, our youth, our young people. Like I said, she took them to Africa. That was like the coldest thing that I ever saw. I wish I could go on a trip like that. Maybe one day I will be able to go with the group. But if you want to get connected with YPOP, Young People of Purpose, you can find them on Facebook at YPOP, Young People of Purpose on Facebook. Like I said, they have the garden right there on Maple Street. They also have the Veterans Garden, Community Garden, Children's Garden. They got a lot of stuff going on, so make sure y'all go connect. So I know that's been a lot, but I want to get to the next part of what we got, the next segment. Before I do, I just wanted to take a second to, I don't know, just my quick disclaimer. You know what I mean? Quick disclaimer. So, this segment, I want to talk about the Resident in Action shelter at the T.A. Wilson School. You know, I know a lot of people seen the article and what they had to say about the article, right? A lot of people focusing on funding instead of like focusing on what's trying to what they're trying to accomplish and the impacts that it can mean for our community. Like nobody's focusing on that. So I just wanted to be the objective voice to give people some of that information and just let you know a little bit of why that's so important, right? Because, see, a lot of people are just looking at it as, oh, this is just a shelter and this and that about the funding. A lot of people are worried about the funding and the money situation. And, oh, the homeless people are not going to have this and that. First of all, it takes a lot to make a project like this happen, right? This is a project that has like this is at a magnitude of something that we haven't even seen like as a people in a long time, right? To even be able to have access to the type of funding, the grant funding that's needed to make a project like this happen, right? When when you think about it, other organizations, other organizations would get millions of dollars to make a project of this magnitude happen. Millions of dollars. We've seen it happen in our community with, with programs like Andy's Place of what millions of dollars can do or what thousands of dollars can do. Whatever that project costs, I don't know. But the point is, it takes a lot of money to create what they're creating there. And let's just be real. we know that they're not getting that type of money because they are a local black nonprofit. And that's just the reality of the situation. That's just the reality of the situation. And I know a lot of people don't agree with that, but I am a realist. So on the Community Soldier podcast, I'm a firm believer of keeping it real, right? So the reality is, yes, uh, racism still exists in the way funding is distributed, right? Any black initiatives or initiatives that's completely catered to black people in the town, they always get the less amount of funding. And I know this because I've been a part of different, let's just say, let's just call them community projects, right? And I've been paid by local nonprofits that were ran by white organizations. And when it comes to certain interests that they care about, the funding, those checks that they would pay me, I mean, they would pay me big checks, $1,500, $5,000. You know, I think the biggest one that I got was $5,000. A local nonprofit paid me to teach me how to write grants and how to do organizational fundraising, right? They gave me $5,000 to teach me skills that our community needs, skills that I wanted to learn anyway. How to write grants, how to do organizational fundraising. They paid me $5,000 to learn that. But when it comes to like our local nonprofits, they don't receive the type of funding that those bigger nonprofits receive. This is just facts. This is just plain facts. And I don't know what it is, why that is, right? That's not for me to say, really. I don't know why it is. But before we get to judging this organization, like about the money stuff, just realize that for one, how hard it is to get access to these, even these conversations where the money is available, right? Because we've never had access to that traditionally. We've never had access to any decision makings when it comes to our city. We've never had that access until now, right? And now, y'all know I'm number one, like, critic on some of our city officials, our city council people, and that's because I see the effects of the decisions that they make, right? And I know I ain't privy to all the information because I ain't in that circle, right? But I see what happens to the people after they make those decisions, and I see what they support and what they don't support, right? So the fact that we even getting a shot to be able to build something like that, right? That's what's crucial because this place that they're planning on is not just a shelter. Like, they're talking about building a resource center, like something that we haven't seen before. Imagine having a place where not only can you go for shelter, but you can get education as well. Where maybe even, shoot, who knows what the possibilities are? Adult education, youth education. teaching people how to make money for themselves, right? With different programming catered to their likes and to their interests. See, the reason why we need people that are involved in boots on the ground, what we call it, community soldiers with boots on the ground, because you're closest to the problem. What happens when the major organizations and the big organizations that do have the millions of dollars in resources to be able to make projects happen super fast, they have the money, but they don't know what to do with the money. So the people that know what to do with the money are usually the ones that are blocked from getting access to the money. So we got all these great ideas. We know what to do. We know what our community needs because we're here. We see our children. We see our young adults. We see our adults. And we see our people missing tools in the toolbox. It ain't no wrench there. It ain't no screwdriver there. How you got a screwdriver? How you got a toolbox and it ain't got a hammer in it? All crucial tools that our people need to survive, and they're missing. And we letting them walk around with the pieces missing. And we acting like they supposed to know how to build. We acting like they supposed to know how to fix things when problems come up in their life. We expecting them to know how to regulate their emotions. How? When we ain't gave them the tools necessary needed to survive. We ain't gave them the tools necessary needed to survive. And we know this because we watching them walk around with an empty toolbox. So this is why we need a facility like what they're trying to build. A place where young people can come get information because I hear that they're gonna offer classrooms for organizations like YPOP so that they can do community events, learn life changing skills, like picture classrooms where kids can learn trades like pottery, candle making. You know how valuable it is? You know how valuable it is for me and my wife to be able to make candles, like to be able to have that skill set when people can call and can order a candle order and we can make an extra 200-300 bucks off of an event just out of the blue off a skill set that we have. This is something that you can always make money off of, something that you can always feed yourself off of. You can always fall back on this skill set if something happens. Our children need different type of things to get their interest. And we're going to need that space to be able to engage those children. So not only are we talking about a place where people can sleep, people can get out of the cold, but we're talking about a place where we could dedicate to empowering our youth by teaching them the life skills that they need to survive, giving them the opportunity to like really build up real tangible skills for themselves, right? helping them to potentially break the cycle of poverty, introduce them to pathways of careers that they never thought of before, or just give them the resources that they need so that they can to reach the dreams and the places that they want to go. I mean, for hundreds of years, we've been relying on the school system to educate our children. And we know that the traditional school system was built to raise farmers, they were raised to raise factory workers, and that was just about it, right? You have to go to college in order to get to the where they call the real meat of education. You have to go to a university to get that upper knowledge, right? So the average school that our children are going through, right, it's just basics. There's nothing in there to help teach them survival in life. There's nothing in there to teach them to help them like create. And we know our kids want to create. They're making money off of YouTube videos, streaming platforms. I mean, I watched a video where there's a kid under 25 and he's like one of the most popular streamers in the world and he makes millions of dollars. Millions of dollars. Kids making millions of dollars playing video games. Like it's mind blowing. Whereas we are still stuck in our old ways of thinking. Uh, we think that video games is a waste of time. Nowadays, if your kid is playing video games religiously, this is like the new Olympics. I mean, playing video games is like the new NBA nowadays. Because if you're good enough, you can get drafted to the league and you're making millions of dollars. So now we're seeing that even 2025, the new generation, they're teaching me that there's so many different ways to feed yourself, to make money, to hustle for a living. My guy, facts. Greatness, what's going on? Appreciate y'all for tapping in. Andrew, greatness. These young kids, though, they teach me every day when I watch them. So now we have to be diligent in our efforts to give back, man. When we're giving back and creating spaces for us to be able to do things like this. Like, I need space to teach the Hustle for a Living program, right? We need a center for the community like this. So this is why it's important to me that we got to support programs like this. Like only because, and it ain't about like who you know and who don't like who and who don't mess with who. Because at the end of the day, one thing that I'm learning in business and in life is that you have to work with all types of people. And everybody that you work with, you ain't gonna like everybody. You ain't even gonna agree with everybody. But at the end of the day, as long as we all have our community's best interests at heart, I can work with you, right? I can meet certain people where they at. But that don't mean that I'm gonna tolerate everything, but I will at least make room in my ego for other people. You know? I don't know another way how to say it, but I'm learning that it really does take a village. And I think that we're designed that way. That's why if you look at the story of the Tower of Babel in the Bible, I think the most important part that you should take away from that story is that at one point in time, all people spoke the same language. I don't think that there was a such thing as race at that time. I know that there wasn't because, first of all, the word race didn't get created until the 1600s. That was in Europe. But in the story of the Tower of Babel, you see all these different people were working together and they were building. And they said, we're going to build the most magnificent tower that you ever seen. It's going to be so high, we're going to reach the heavens. You know what I'm saying? They started building this joint and it was nice. And they started building and it got high. It got high up. It got so high that guy was like, hey, look, we got to do something to these people, man. They think that they going to build. We keep letting them build. They're going to get up to where we at. And that's not to say that they can actually accomplish that mission. But I think the analogy was about this. If we all work together, like the things that we could accomplish would be godlike. It would be godlike. It would be epic. And we know that because when we do come together, we create epic moments. And this is evident in any research lab. This is evident in any major study that's going on, any major technological advance that you see. There's always a team of diverse minds, diverse minds. And that's because no one person is built with everything, all the skills, all the knowledge. Everybody is made different. We all have different skills, tools that make us unique, and we're made to share those resources. That's why he created us to live in communities because we made to share those resources. Because everybody's not going to be good at math. Everybody's not going to be good at public speaking. Everybody's not going to be good at teaching. Everybody's not going to be good at service. Everybody's not going to have the heart to preach. So we have to have people to play different roles, to come together, to work together, to accomplish missions, to accomplish goals. So we need to start supporting the the missions of community soldiers that are already in our town doing the work, already here, right? Because if we started adding to what's already being the foundation that's put before us, right? Imagine what we could build. I mean, there are organizations here, right here in Jackson, just like YPOP, that have taken the time through years of work to build these foundations. We have to support those organizations. So no matter what people may personally feel about these organizations like RIA and what they're trying to do, the bottom line is that we must support programs like this because no other program is going to worry about our children. No other program is going to worry about our fathers when they come home from prison and they don't have nowhere to go. No other programs is going to worry about our mothers when they can't get a housing choice voucher and they don't have nowhere to go, right? Yeah, we already have the interfaith shelter and we have uh the women's shelter already. But let's be real. Those shelters fill up fast. Those beds fill up fast. And also, there's also a stigma in the community with staying at the shelter. So where a lot of people act like the interfaith shelter is the one and only answer, they're wrong too. I'm gonna be the first one to tell you. Where I love the interfaith shelter and what they do, but they're not catered specifically. They're not catered to specifically to tune in to the needs of our people on the south side. They don't always know how to work with our issues. So if you don't know our issues, sometimes it can be hard to help us solve our problems. See, if you're not able to recognize that we missing tools in our toolbox, then you're not able to see that we need you to help replace those tools that are missing, to give us them resources so that we can fix our own problems. Then we don't get them. So it's important for us to start building and supporting our own programs, our own people that are building those programs. And I know it's tough, but we got to keep continuing to fight for like what's the right thing to do. You know what I mean? Like, what's the right thing to do? The right thing to do is to provide housing for people, is to make sure that we provide safety, stability, and the tools that they need to build a better life. So I want to ask you this for my listeners tonight. How can you support this initiative? What can you do? Ask yourself this. What are you willing to do? Whether it's donations, volunteering your time, or spreading the word, or fighting back misinformation, or by simply just advocate. We can all play a part in bringing this vision that they have together. Like, I don't know that their whole vision, right? So I can't speak on everything that they're trying to do. But from what I've heard, right, we need programs. We need people like that are going to focus on some of the solutions instead of catering to the problem. See, I work for an organization and I see how, in a lot of sense, we're saving people, but sometimes saving people ain't helping people sustain themselves. So what we see is a repetitive cycle, right, of people needing to be fed, needing at your door every day. Feed me, I'm hungry. Can you give me something to eat, please? I'm starving. And every day we answer into those needs by giving them some bread. And that's nice because we're giving them some bread and we're telling them, I love you. We're giving you bread. You know, we're not racist no more because we love you. You know what I'm saying? We're giving you bread. We gave you that. But then what happens when I run out of the bread? I got to come back tomorrow. I got to ask you again, man, I need some bread. I'm hungry. I'm starving. I need something. I need something. And then you go through this process over and over and over and over again. not to downplay the work that these organizations are doing out here, because I love being a part of the mission. I love being able to help people. I love being able to flood people with resources. But a lot of programs are the that we have are the reasons why I was inspired to create the Hustle for a Living program. Because if we're not teaching people how to feed themselves, how to achieve sustainability in a realistic way, then we ain't doing nothing different than what our local churches is doing when we tell them, "I'm gonna pray for you, baby." We can't keep doing that. What's that? The definition of insanity. Keep doing the same thing and expecting a different result. So we have to make a concerted effort to make that change. And how we make that change is to teach our children sustainability, to, to teach our young parents how to hustle for a living instead of relying on just the traditional means of income. I wouldn't be able to survive financially with just my paycheck alone. And that's because of the amount of money that gets taken from me. So I wouldn't be able to survive if it wasn't for me supplementing my income in another way. Now, our young men and our young boys, we get so attracted to the street money because we don't have to subject ourselves to that, right? To those systems. And it becomes more attractive way of earning a living for yourself because of that fact. But I'm here to tell you that you can achieve the same thing by becoming financially literate, by becoming an entrepreneur, by teaching yourself a legitimate hustle. We need programs that teach people how to feed themselves, how to become fishers, how to become gardeners, how to become growers of their own finances. Because that's what's missing in our community. That's what's missing in our neighborhoods. There's no investment in our neighborhoods because we are the ones who need to be investing in our neighborhoods. Nobody else is. Nobody else is going to focus on our neighborhoods. And when they do, we see what's going to happen. They're not going to be thinking about you and I when they make their plans because that's our job. It's our community. We have to think about us. We have to build our future for us. And it starts now. It starts with education. It starts with giving people the tools necessary that's needed to change to survive. I had a wonderful meeting today, and I was able to speak to someone who worked for a major organization here in Jackson. And just to be able to bring awareness of our problems, our issues, in a way that nobody else does, in a way that nobody else thinks about. This is what's needed for change to happen because If we don't have anybody that's willing to speak about these things, if we don't have anybody that's willing to listen to our problems, our issues, then we have no way of making changes. We have no way of making an impact. But that takes for us to work together. It takes for us to understand that no mission is gonna be perfect. But at the end of the day, we have to look at what are they trying to accomplish here? What are they trying to do? What's happening, right? What are the results coming from the work that they're doing? What are the end results of what's happening? Look at that, and that be the evidence of whether or not you should support or not. But the point is to check it out, man, and see for yourself. Start supporting, and who knows what this can grow into? Who knows what this can turn into? But if we don't support it and see it through all the way through, and we just let the people just kill it like they want to, the people that run things, they want to just kill it because it would be much easier to let some millionaire company come through and build some stupid center catered to only certain people, of course, how they do, the elite of the elite of the elite of the world. Meanwhile, they cast us in poverty aside. Nobody's thinking about the poor family living on First Street. Nobody's thinking about that poor family that's going through poverty, that's going through eviction with nowhere to go, can't afford the housing that's up. Nobody's thinking about them and nobody cares about them until it happens to us directly, is when we start caring. And those are the things that we got to change about our community. Those are the things that we got to change. Those are the type of things that I try to bring awareness to. So, yeah, I know a lot of people just didn't like the article, or, yeah, I felt a lot of the same of what most people were saying. Yeah, the city spent too much money when they bought those the shacks. I forget what they call them. The temporary out shelters that they built. I thought 44,000 was excessive. Somebody made some money off of that, but that's cool. I mean, I get it. I see what it is, but that's not Ria's fault. They weren't the ones that made that purchase. But I see a lot of people blaming them for it because they're the ones that ended up with them and all of that other stuff. So a lot of stuff that they're getting blamed for is stuff that's not even in their control. I've come to realize that. So what needs to change is whatever we gotta do to support it to make it happen. But we need to figure it out because we need a place. We need a spot. We need a place that's gonna open their doors for education, giving our community the resources that they need. And yeah, we got, like I said, a lot of the same resources in other places. But one thing that I'm learning about real equity is that every person needs different things. Every person needs different things. Our community is changing. For one, we don't know what the future of Jackson is going to look like. But I know one thing is for sure is there's a group of people coming up that no one thinks about. And maybe I'm not the only one thinking about them, but neurodivergent people, There are more neurodivergent children in today's society than ever, and they are going to be adults. Some of them are adults now. We're seeing now on TikTok, on Facebook, and Instagram, we're seeing the videos of neurodivergent people as adults. And where are the resources for them? Where's the equity for them? Where is it that anyone is making anything easier for them? Right? We just starting, we just getting to the surface. It isn't until we're made aware of these things is when we start to actually work and do, right? So I'm hoping that this gives that kind of trickle down effect because we need a spot like that. You know, it's bad enough that we allowed our city to take away a local school from our south side of Jackson, right? That's how people should be thinking about it. Like, it's not even my city. Like, and when I say that, this is my city because I live here, right? But I'm not born here. I'm what y'all call a transplant, right? I've heard that term be said before about people that moved to Jackson from out of state. They call us transplants. So I'm a transplant. I'm a transplant that actually, I like to say, I really planted myself here. I really planted myself here. Not just in no flower pot. You know what I'm saying? I planted myself deep in the earth here, in the clay soil of Michigan, Jackson, Michigan. I stuck my roots here, and I'm here, hoping to become that oak tree that the community could live off of and eat off of for generations, right? But I see a lot of people that were born and raised here don't wish to be that. And those are the things that we need to change, point blank. People get upset when I say things like, you know, we don't support, but we need to change that. We need to start supporting our local organizations that are already out here building roots, building foundations. They're already doing the hard work, but they need the support, the help of the community in order to take it to the next level, to make it beneficial for everybody, right? Because one thing I know about Jackson, Jackson is like one of the most blended interracial towns that I've ever seen before. You have mixed families everywhere, blended families everywhere. We all live next door to each other. Blended, blended community, right? You go in the shelter and see what it looks like. Everybody's struggling. Everybody's in poverty, no matter what race you are. We can all identify with going to fill out a SCR application. We all know what it's like to go through LT, landlord tenant. We all know what it's like to have our utilities be shut off and have to ask for assistance because we're all living in this same financial bracket of poverty. So we all need similar resources. And what we know is that we all need financial literacy. Every single one of us need financial literacy. So we need to support those people in our community that are actually trying to do something, and maybe we could see our community change for something for the better. That's all we got on tonight's episode. I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure you check out our Facebook page. We will be posting resources tomorrow, all of the things that we mentioned in today's episode, and you can watch previous episodes that we had on the Community Soldier podcast. Y'all have a good night. Remember, stay safe and stay warm out there. If you need to get to a warming shelter, look up on your, or you can call 211 and they can give you a list of the local warming centers. Or you can look online at 211.com. Y'all have a good night. Stay safe. Love you guys.
Grandpa told me you lucky to have one friend. Situations in life coming, you gotta trust them. Found out many times in life you can't trust men. So I rolled solo, that process was an adjustment. Friends let you down, not around when you're needing them. Only here to take like a child, got you feeding them. Better off leaving them like salt, that's the seasoning. Killing